He the only way I made it through it. Last 6-7 months been extremely hard. Like, God the only way I was able to get through it. It was great. You know, the last 2 days ago, we all had like a big conversation in the locker room, you know, just about God and just, you know, our purpose. And I'm just thankful, you know, like, this ain't me, this number God's work. He the only one that allowed me to continue to play, continue to keep going, continue to do that. You know, it's a lot of people that's not in great situations that you know, don't have everything, but you got to lean on him. You got to count on him throughout everything, you know.
Taking your hands of all your teammates, you said you had the support of the organization as you prepared, and you also put in the work. How are you able to marry those two together and come out with a win?
Like I said, before going into the game, I ain't feel nerves. I ain't feel anything. You know, you remember I talked yesterday. It's like I did as much work as I can during the week, so, you know, on Sundays it'll be fun. So that's why I was just excited. I love how the offensive line embraced me when I came in that role, and they understood I'm nothing but business, you know. So I'm just thankful that I was able to out here, thankful to get the win for the Browns. Like, you know, my pop's here, my mom's here, all my people here. You see all them 12 jerseys out there, it's amazing. I think I showed a couple of great pieces. It's some things I wish, you know, I could get back, but man, a win is crazy. It's amazing, you know, off of 1 week of practice, you know? 1 week of practice. So imagine, you know, what a full offseason look like. It get dangerous, but it's just a 1 week of practice, so I'm just truly thankful, you know, that everything happened.
History just got rewritten in Las Vegas, 24-10. That's the final score. But those numbers don't tell you what really happened Sunday afternoon at Allegiant Stadium. What really happened was Shedeur Sanders just broke a curse that's haunted Cleveland for 26 years. Let that sink in. 26 years. Since 1999, when the Browns came back to the NFL, 17 different quarterbacks tried to win their first careers. Every single one of them walked off that field with an L next to their name. Until yesterday. Until Shedeur Sanders decided enough was enough. The 5th round pick, the guy who wasn't supposed to be here, the quarterback who fell in the draft while everyone questioned his arm strength, his decision-making, his ability to play at this level. The son of Deion, who carried the burden of a last name that comes with more pressure than most rookies will ever understand. He just became the first Browns quarterback since Eric Zaire in 1995 to win their first NFL start. And if you're wondering who was coaching the Browns that year, Bill Belichick. That's how long ago we're talking about. First start would never have the confidence to do. He made a declaration.
Hey, come on, bro. I'm doing a serious interview, fam. That's so second over there. But seriously, though, nah, like, God the only way I was able to get through it. It was great. You know, the last 2 days ago, we all had like a big conversation in the locker room, you know, just about God and just, you know, our purpose. And I'm just thankful, you know, like, this ain't me, this number God's work. He the only one that allowed me to continue to play, continue to keep going, continue to do that. You know, it's a lot of people that's not in great situations that you know, don't have everything, but you got to lean on him. You got to count on him throughout everything, you know.
Shedeur, I watched you go around shaking the hands of your offensive linemen, shaking your hands of all your teammates. You said you had the support of the organization as you prepared, and you also put in the work. How are you able to marry those two together and come out with a win?
Like I said, before going into the game, I ain't feel nerves. I ain't feel anything. You know, you remember I talked yesterday. It's like I did as much work as I can during the week, so, you know, on Sundays it'll be fun. So that's why I was just excited. I love how the offensive line embraced me when I came in that role, and they understood I'm nothing but business.
Read that again. I'm who they've been looking for. That's not just confidence. That's not bravado. That's a young man who's been sitting behind Dillon Gabriel for 11 weeks, watching, learning, preparing for this exact moment. A young man who got exactly 3 reps with the first-team offense before he had to come in cold against Baltimore last week and got destroyed. 4 completions on 16 attempts, 47 yards, 1 interception. The kind of debut that ends careers before they start. Most rookies would have shrunk after that. Most fifth-rounders would have been happy just to get another chance. But Shedeur Sanders isn't most rookies, and Sunday proved it. 11 of 20 passing, 209 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. On paper, those are solid but not spectacular numbers for a rookie making his first start. But context is everything, And the context here is that the Browns' offense finally looked alive. They scored 24 points, only the second time all season they've broken 20. They moved the ball downfield with purpose. They hit explosive plays that had Myles Garrett on the sideline looking like he just witnessed a miracle. That 52-yard bomb to Isaiah Bond in the first quarter, that was the longest pass from a Browns quarterback in 15 games. 15 games! Let that marinate. The Browns went almost 4 full months without a quarterback who could push the ball vertically downfield. 4 months of defensive coordinators sleeping easy at night, knowing they could stack the box, press the line, dare Cleveland to beat them deep. Shedeur changed that calculation in one throw. The way he escaped the blitz, rolled to his right, kept his eyes downfield, and launched it to Bond, that's not something you can teach. That's instinct. That's playmaking ability. That's the difference between a game manager and a quarterback who can actually threaten defenses at all 3 levels. And Myles Garrett's reaction on the sideline told you everything you need to know. The reigning Defensive Player of the Year frontrunner looked genuinely shocked that his quarterback just did something extraordinary. That's not a knock on Garrett. That's a testament to how bad Cleveland's quarterback play has been this season. When your best defensive player is surprised by a good throw from your own quarterback, you've got problems. But for one afternoon in Vegas, those problems disappeared. The touchdown pass that sealed it came in the fourth quarter. 66 yards to Deion Sampson on a screen pass. Now, was it all Shedeur? No. Sampson did the heavy lifting, taking that short pass and turning it into a house call. But that's what good offenses do. They create opportunities. They get playmakers in space. They execute the fundamentals at a high level. And for the first time all season, the Browns looked like they had an offensive identity.
Let's be clear about something, though. This wasn't a perfect performance. Shedeur threw an ugly interception in the first half on a quick out to Jerry Jeudy. Bad read, bad throw, bad result. The Raiders turned it into a field goal. In a closer game, that's the kind of mistake that gets you benched. But here's what separates winners from losers at the NFL level: how you respond to adversity. After that pick, Shedeur didn't melt down. He didn't spiral into panic mode. He went to the bench, watched the tape, figured out what went wrong, and came back sharper. That's maturity you can't manufacture. That's leadership that transcends draft position. And that's exactly what Cleveland needs if they're going to salvage anything from this dumpster fire of a season. But let's pump the brakes for a second, because as much as this win feels like a turning point, we need to acknowledge some realities. The Raiders are terrible. 2-9 coming into this game, 5 straight losses, an offensive line that got Geno Smith sacked 10 times. 10! That's not a typo. Cleveland's defense absolutely brutalized Las Vegas all afternoon. Myles Garrett had 3 sacks by himself, pushing his season total to 18 and putting him 5 away from breaking the NFL's single-season record with 6 games left. So yes, Shedeur won. Yes, he looked competent. Yes, he showed flashes of real ability. But he did it against one of the worst teams in football. The real test comes next week when the San Francisco 49ers come to Cleveland. 7-4, playoff contenders. Robert Saleh's defense that will throw everything at a rookie quarterback and dare him to beat them. That's when we'll really know what Cleveland has in Shedeur Sanders. And here's where it gets complicated, because Kevin Stefanski already declared that Dillon Gabriel would be the starter if he clears concussion protocol. That was the party line all week. Gabriel is the 3rd-round pick. Gabriel was the guy they chose to lead this offense after moving on from Joe Flacco. Gabriel is the investment. But what happens if Gabriel is ready to go and Stefanski sticks with that plan? What happens when Gabriel throws his first incompletion and half the stadium starts chanting for number 12? What happens when the offense reverts back to that boring, predictable 10-yard ceiling that defined the first half of the season? You think Browns fans are going to sit quietly and accept it? You think the locker room isn't going to notice the difference? Because there was a difference yesterday. The energy was different. The belief was different. For the first time all season, Cleveland looked like a team that actually wanted to be on the football field. After the game, Shedeur kept it real. He didn't shy away from the noise. He didn't pretend like everyone's been rooting for him. Ever since he was at Colorado, ever since the draft speculation started, ever since he fell to the 5th round, there's been a contingent of people waiting for Shedeur Sanders to crash and burn. Some of it is because of his last name. Some of it is because of the way he carries himself. Some of it is just the nature of the NFL, where everyone loves to see the hyped prospect fail. But here's what those doubters don't understand. Pressure creates diamonds or it crushes coal. And Shedeur Sanders just showed you which one he is. He walked into one of the most pressure-packed situations in football, a Browns franchise desperate for quarterback stability, and delivered when it mattered most. Not perfectly, not spectacularly, but efficiently enough to win. That's what starting quarterbacks do. They find ways to win even when everything isn't perfect. They make enough plays to keep the chains moving. They avoid catastrophic mistakes. They give their defense a chance. And yesterday, Shedeur checked all those boxes. Now the question becomes, what does Cleveland do with this information? Do they go back to Gabriel and hope he rediscovers whatever made them draft him in the 3rd round? Do they ride with Shedeur and see how far this thing can go? Do they split reps and create a quarterback controversy that poisons the entire locker room? There's no easy answer, because this is the consequence of drafting 2 quarterbacks in the same year without a clear succession plan. You draft competition, you get chaos. You draft uncertainty, you get quarterback controversies. And now Kevin Stefanski has to make a decision that could define the rest of his tenure in Cleveland. The smart move? The obvious move? Start Shedeur against San Francisco. Give him the rope. Let him succeed or fail on his own merit. Because if you yank him after one good performance and go back to Gabriel, you're sending a message that draft position matters more than performance. You're telling your locker room that politics trumps performance. And in a 3-8 season where you're already playing for next year, that's how you lose credibility forever. But football isn't always about smart moves. Sometimes it's about ego. Sometimes it's about justifying past decisions. Sometimes it's about protecting the guy you invested in mediocrity anymore. They watched Shedeur bring energy to this offense. They saw the deep shots. They felt the excitement. They broke a 26-year curse, and now they want more. Shedeur Sanders just announced his arrival in the NFL. He walked into Vegas with his father watching from a suite, with the weight of Browns history on his shoulders, with everyone waiting to see if he'd crumble under the spotlight. And he walked out with a W. The first of many? Or a one-game flash in the pan? We'll find out next Sunday when the Niners come to town. But for one afternoon in Las Vegas, Shedeur Sanders proved that maybe, just maybe, he really is who Cleveland's been looking for all along. Welcome to the show, Rook. Now let's see if you can handle the encore.